Okay, let's talk about resizing of objects and resizing of our image and document. First of all, the objects. So I'm here selected on my red circle layer, clicking on the red circle. I can go up to Edit and down to Free Transform. Notice there it's telling us the shortcut, which we always want to use where we can. So I'm going to hit Escape to get out of there and go Command T. So now I'm in my Free Transform tool and this box appears with these points. In Photoshop, you don't need to hold down Shift to keep the object proportional, whereas in Adobe Illustrator and InDesign you do. So that can be a little bit confusing. So in the current version of Photoshop, I don't need to hold down Shift. I can simply drag from the corner and change the size of my circle. I can also hover over a corner and I'll see the bent arrow and I can actually rotate my object. Of course, because I'm talking about a perfect circle, I'm not going to see any change there. But if it was any other shape than a circle, you would see the change. If you want to actually change the proportions of this, you will need to hold down Shift and then you can stretch it and squash it and do with what you will. If you feel like you're making a mess at any time, just hit Escape and you'll go back to the original object. So that's how you can change the size of things within your image, and that can be any amount that you've selected. I could have selected just a part of that graphic, basically. If I want to resize the size of my document, I opened this document as an A4 document at 300 dpi. If I go up to Image Size, and there it's telling me the shortcut, I have some options here. I'm currently set on centimeters, so you can see that it's at A4, 21 by 29.7, and it's at a resolution of 300. If I maybe want to change this to A5, that would mean a height of 21. So if I type in 21 there, automatically the width changes as well. Okay, these are linked here. That's the default, and you will generally want to keep those linked to keep everything in proportion. So that's changing the size of the document, okay, overall, and changing the resolution, etc. And then if I click OK, it's going to get smaller on the screen because now it's an A5. If I simply want to change the shape or size of my sort of image without having to change the overall document, I can go Image, Canvas Size. So now I'm working with the canvas as opposed to the entire image. And I've got width and height here, so it's showing where it's at. We're not looking at resolution here. So if I say, well, actually, I kind of want this to be a square. So it's 21 high. I think I want it to be 21 wide. So I'm going to put 21 there. Now, the anchor is set at its default, which is the measurements coming out from a central point. So if I leave it at that, and notice here there's a canvas extension color option, mine is white. I'll show you what it looks like by selecting black, and then go OK. So it's made my canvas a square shape now. It's 21 by 21. And it's added black as the extension color. Occasionally you might want this for purposes of putting a border around something or such. If I undo that and go back into Image, Canvas Size, I put 21 again and I leave it on black so you see what's happened. But I can change where that gets added to, and maybe I'll change the height as well. Maybe I'll make the height 29. And I'm going to select this top right corner, and you'll see that the arrows then point out from that corner. If I select that, it has added the extra size coming out from that corner. So sometimes you will want to do this and you will want to plan where that's going to come from. And that's how you'll do it. Now, another way that you can change that canvas kind of in a quite fast and organic way, but maybe less precise, is by using the crop tool. Now, if you hit the letter C on the keyboard, it takes you to the crop tool over there, and you get the bounding points around it. Firstly, if I actually click inside there, just click and let go, I get the grid, and I can move my image around within that crop. And then if I hit enter, it's cropped off. If I do that again, I'm going to click on there, I'm going to move that up to there, because maybe I want these circles to be cropped off in the corner, and I've got my little arrangement. Now, a couple of things to talk about here. Notice up on the top here on my options and control panel, notice that first of all, these options will change according to whatever tool I'm in. That's very important to understand. At the moment, delete cropped pixels is checked. So that means that when I go back into this, there's nothing outside of here. Like, it's gotten rid of those things that I cropped out of here. Of course, if you haven't pressed save yet, you can always go back to your saved version. You can simply close the document. If I hit escape, I could close it and reopen it, or I could go to File, Revert, and that'll take me back to the last saved version of this file. So that can be a great get out of jail free card. Now, another way to work, if you're not sure about this crop, or you want to come back later and change it without saving multiple versions of your file, I'm going to undo that crop, and I'm going to now uncheck delete cropped pixels. And now I'm going to move this around and move it up there. Hit enter. Now, the white that I had on the bottom of my layer, that's been moved as well, so I'm revealing the checkerboard. If I now go back into the crop tool, click on the image, you'll see that the rest of those circles is still actually there. It's just paled out. So it's retaining that information and those pixels. So your file size is going to be a bit bigger because it's actually holding on to all of that info, but it's very useful as being a non-destructive way of working, because you can go back in later and change the crop. If maybe you did a test print and you didn't like it so much or such, you can bring them back and change the way it was. But also what you can do here is simply drag this to whatever shape you want. So you don't have to work out measurements of what you want to change your canvas size and what parts of the image you want to add them to. You can simply drag this around to anything you like. You can also hover over the corner and you'll get this grid, and you can rotate this, and this very useful grid appears that will help you straighten things if things are a little bit crooked. And again, if you want out, hit escape. And you're out.